Right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone from a very cold, frosty Cody. And welcome to our first ever episode of Quad Talk series. My name is Manjusha, and I am the alumni coordinator here at KIS. And I'd like to begin by wishing all of our North American alumni a happy Thanksgiving from all of us at Cody. The Quad Talks series is a joint venture between Kodai Friends International and KIS, and we wish to utilize this platform to reconnect and engage with you on topics that might interest you. And be sure to check your email and social media for more news on upcoming talks so that you can join us. Before we jump into our conversation tonight, I would like to say a few housekeeping rules. Uh, First of all, this is our first try, and there will be a few teething problems, and I apologize for that. Everyone attending the event is muted. And if you wish to ask the panelists a question, please click, there's a button down below on your dashboard that says Q&A. Click there, type in your question, and that way we can make sure I can ask the panelists about that. All right, we'll try to keep this within 60 minutes with a 15 to 20-minute question Q&A session. If you have any feedback, feel free to email me at alumni@KIS. Now, for the conversation that we're all been waiting for, I'd like to invite tonight our KIS Principal Corey Stixrud, class of 1986, and a few special guests from the class of 2021. I hope you all enjoy tonight. Over to you too, Corey.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. First, before we start, I just want to say a big thank you to Manjusha for organizing this. You brought so much energy in just engagement in your role as alumni coordinator. So thanks to you, Manjusha, for everything you do for KIS and our alumni. I love this quad idea. This is a great kickoff for that. And it's so good to have a few of our students here today. So hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. It's just always exciting to see you, just mainly because we miss you. I wanted to share, I've been asked to share a brief reflection on, Kodai School during this pandemic, the ground reality, a little bit, our struggles, our triumphs, our current status as an institution. And I thought I would do it in the framework of that's relevant to the season. So here we are, at the end of the first ever entirely virtual semester in our school's history. As a residential school, I guess it's ironic that when all is said and done, we've actually done a really good job in our virtual setting. I think this is, personally, I think this is a testament to our vision and mission as a school. We've prioritized our students and their learning outcomes above everything else. And, when you have a clear guiding principle, the path becomes clear, decisions are easier to make and to live with. And I've said this in 1,000 different ways to our students, to our staff, to parents and to alumni, but I'll say it again tonight. As a school, we have so many things to be grateful for over the past 8 months. So I'll start with talking about our students. Imagine, right, that you are and I think you can, as alumni, you can imagine this. Imagine that you're a senior in your last year at Kodai, and field day just ended, and you have a few short months left until graduation. You have your friends and, you have some exams coming up, but it's kind of that, I remember personally that it was kind of this really very emotional time, full of opportunity, full of kind of hope and mystery. Remember those last 2 months in Kodai, right? It's the culmination of your many years here. So now imagine that the school closes, and your grades, your IB exams, kind of everything's up in the air. Your future really is up in the air. And, on top of that, you're told that you can't go near each other, which is a very un-Kodai thing. So March 2020 was an extremely difficult month. And I want to, it's a special shout out to a group that's not here tonight, but that's the class of 2020. Really a great Kodai class that handled a rough semester in style. There they are. We did what we could to help find closure in the form of awards ceremonies and a physically distanced graduation ceremony with very, very phony certificates. But it was hard for all of us. And it was interesting too, because we gave our students the option to return home in the middle of March when the school was shut down. Many students, either because they couldn't physically get home or because it was more convenient for them to stay here, remained in Kodai and studied online in their dorms for the rest of the semester. Our last group of students actually left the school, were able finally to travel home on June 2nd. And the very first official case of coronavirus in Kodai was on June 3rd. So it was very timely. But we had students here, at least some students here, into June. The class of 2020 went on to earn historically high IB diploma scores. Almost 15% of this class of the full diploma candidates earned a 40 or higher in their IB, which is remarkable. So our hats off to this really amazing class that were here with us during this the start of this very difficult time. So this semester, right, the entire student body has been online, and they've had to endure a lot. A new learning paradigm, of course, isolation, being away from their friends and from their school. But I think what has emerged in many respects has been, it's been beautiful in some ways. So their connection to the school and to the town of Kodai has grown stronger somehow. You've likely heard about the student campaigns for Kodai, and we'll be talking to some of the student leaders. And over 100 students, got together and raised over 60 lakh rupees. That's over $80,000. It's up on the screen there for Kodai, that benefit medical facilities in Kodai, that benefit local youth in Kodai and their educational prospects, that benefit Mercy Home, and that provide skill training and microloans to the people of Kodai. Funds were raised for stray animal welfare as well. So we'll have the chance to talk to Aryan and Vihan and Sener in a little bit about that, and Niharika as well. And so in September, I think we have a slide that shows this. In September, we organized a day-long alumni event, Global Changemakers Day. And we brought in the student campaign leaders for that, for a chat. And believe it or not, the YouTube video of the event, this was really cool. Just this past week, we're in season of interviewing prospective staff. And one of the candidates referred back to this Global Changemakers Day, especially to the segment with our students, and said that that was the reason she wanted to work here at the school, because she saw our students on YouTube and thought they were remarkable young people. So it's just, it's a testament to you guys, for sure. And, we've missed them terribly this semester, but paradoxically, I think in a lot of ways we've grown closer to this batch as well, the great class of 2021. And, I've appreciated how our students have remained in the thick of things. For instance, given the racial, issues that erupted over the summer in the US and Europe as well, we've started what we're calling a conversation on race and bias this semester to explore global and Indian and local issues about race and bias and discrimination. And it's been exciting to be a part of this conversation with an amazing group of thoughtful and eloquent young people. And at one meeting recently, maybe one of the last meetings of the semester, they really dissected the school dress code policy, revealing their perceptions of bias at the level of how it impacts their daily life in Kodai. So That was great. And there's just been so many things. Students have talked at our daily, have spoken about race and bias at our daily assemblies. We've brought in guests. Students have served on as panelists on these conversations. So just a couple students wrote an article, and I think Manjusha, I think we've shared that on our social media as well recently. So and they've just stayed in the thick of current events and stayed in the thick of what's happening in Cody. Another remarkable event this semester was the virtual KIS Model United Nations that our students hosted. I think, Niharika, that was in October, right? And schools from across India and other parts of Asia participated. And Niharika's here, so we'll talk about that with her a little bit. But hats off to our students, most of all, just carrying on the tradition of great Cody classes. Staff at KIS, I can't say enough about kind of the staff and what they've been through this semester. I want to say they've made it look easy, but it hasn't been easy, and at times it probably hasn't looked easy either. But we went online within a week of the official announcement of school closure in March. For any of you who are involved in education, or perhaps you can imagine that teaching online is a completely different animal. Learning online, I'm sure, is a completely different animal than in-person teaching or learning. So our teachers had to adjust on the fly, deal with new circumstances. It was a really good decision, maybe a hard one at the time, but all of our teachers had to undergo a month-long Google classroom training that they went through, and they had to sit through a 3-hour exam to get their certification. But it really paid off. We collected feedback over the summer from students and from staff and from parents. And then when we started the new semester in July, we unveiled the KIS online platform 2.0 for the new school year. And we thought we did a fair job in semester one, but we revamped and improved our approach for semester two. And this was made possible through the concerted effort of all of our staff, many of whom were not able to leave Cody for summer vacation. And I would also say, right, some of the best advice that we got in terms of improving our online platform was from our students as well. Some of whom are with us this evening. So if you have questions for them about that, and it was just a remarkable coming together of the staff and of the students to make that happen. And every department in school was challenged in one way or the other. There's some of our nurses, but I'm just grateful to the administrators of the school, the medical staff, the managers, the coordinators, just to work so hard under adverse circumstances. Even our dorm parents, right, without students in their dorm, have helped out, becoming involved in our communication efforts with families, staying in touch with students. It's really funny. We issued a kind of this, about just screen time. And we said, listen, we said to parents, we just make sure to talk to your children about screen time. They're online all day during school. And they said, well, why don't you have the house parents talk to them? So our house parents were kind of like reversal of roles. So our house parents were kind of leading the charge in terms of talking to their students about screen time virtually. And another thing I have to add about our staff is how generous they have been in the face of all the hardships, donating time and money to the community, to relief projects in the community. So it's an honor to be a staff member, part of the staff member family here at KIS. And I absolutely need to mention parents as well. The opening of the new school year was difficult for the school and for the parents of our students, just because of the sheer uncertainty that all of us were facing. Parents were worried about online learning. worried about the health and safety of their families. And like people all over the world, many faced economic hardships as well, which just added to the stress levels that we were all going through. At the end of the day, our parents are, our partners in this most important work that we do, of educating our young people. And our goals are really the same, right? Raising and educating young people to be smart, well adapted, and successful uh, adults who can make a positive difference in the world. So our parents have come through in so many ways, through their feedback, through their communication, their offers to help, and their ongoing support of all of our efforts here at KIS. And then finally, our alumni. I look at Cody as a place that exists across a number of different realms. It exists across generations, across cultures, across geography, and even across how every one of us, alumnus or alumni, or alumna, I should say, has experienced their time here, and continues to experience their relationship with KIS to this day. You are not a homogenous group of people, but I believe that your experience and your memories of Cody, your love of this place, your strong connections with your classmates, and your friends and your teachers, and your belief in this institution and what it stands for, that really helps to keep us relevant, and it helps to keep us engaged. Um, there's nothing like a pandemic to bring out the love in people, or as we experienced as well, a good cyclone a couple years ago with Cyclone Gaja. And we're grateful to our alumni for their continued support of KIS. Special mention, of course, to our friends at Kodai Friends International, who have been our partners, have helped to sustain this school during its time of need, through fundraising initiatives and grants that have truly helped us immensely. And of course, I have to mention the Charles and Nancy Wilder Fund, named after Cody School alumnus Charles Wilder, his wife Nancy, along with some extra help from KFI. It has allowed us to provide almost 60 scholarships to KIS families this semester. In financial terms, this was well over $200,000. To me, this is profound. That an alumnus from a Cody class in the early 1940s is having an enormous positive impact on the school 80 years later. And other alumni have here in India have found ways to contribute to Cody School and to the town of Cody as well. Shireen Irani of the class of 1999 and her nonprofit I Pro Bono helped to raise funds that we use to help feed over 6,000 people in Cody for over a month. That's like a sixth of the town. Someone I went to school with, Moncho Fair, class of 1990, and his trust, the Rural Development Trust, raised significant funds for Van Allen Hospital. So other alumni have contributed to the school and to KFI, and others have taken part in alumni events, been mentors for our students, engaged with us in so many different ways. So again, we are grateful always for your support of KIS and of course for the town of Cody. And you may have questions about the current situation. I'll just give a very brief mention of that. So we recently informed our parents, just about a week ago, we informed our parents that our hope is to reopen school in January. We really hope that we can. We're prepared to do so and have planned extensively to reopen school in the next semester. We would do it gradually in phases, bringing our grade 12 back first. And again, for the coming semester, we're offering scholarships to families in need. And we've made a number of investments that we believe will serve the town and the school well. For instance, the school purchased an oxygen generator for Van Allen. And I was just up for the installation a couple weeks ago. It's already installed. It's already saving lives. And of course, our alumni support and the student campaigns have just greatly contributed to this effort. So we feel ready. We're hoping 2021 is a slightly better year than 2020. and we're just prepared and really, really excited at the prospect of welcoming our students back to school. So we hope that's possible. So I've talked quite a while, and I'm really more excited to talk to our students. So let me properly introduce you. So first of all, we have our Student Council Co-President, Aryan Patel. Hi, Aryan.
Hi, sir.
Just testing your mic. There he is. Handsome young man. And we have Vihan Chandaria. Hi, Vihan.
Hi, sir.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. And Senator Septi is here.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Can we just see you quickly, Senator? Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, showed up. And Niharika Ghoshal. So, hi, Niharika.
Hi, sir. Hi, everyone.
Hi. So it's great to see you guys. I was joking with them beforehand that I know that they're never awake past 9 p.m. So it's about 9:20 here in India. So it's great that they stayed up for this and are part of this. But you know, we brought these particular students here for a reason. They've all been involved in projects and campaigns that benefit the people of Kodai. So Aryan and Vihan and Senar, you started this project. You know, I think you call it the Offline Education Project, and it was just yesterday, in fact, that we were able to kind of follow through with some of the plans that you had, some of the projects that you had. We invited principals from schools in Kodai to the school here, physically distanced, of course, and we had a session and you guys joined on video. And we were able to distribute a lot of offline education materials for students. And, you know, we're speaking of gratitude, right? Here at Kodai School, we're affluent for the most part. We are, you know, able to, you know, continue our education online. For most of the young people in Kodai, this has not been possible. And actually all four of these students have a role, but we'll talk to the three boys first. So Aryan, Vihan, Senar, can you tell us a little bit about how you thought up your idea for the offline education project in Kodai?
Yeah, so I'll start. We first started this. We first got this idea because of a pitch made by the other Alpha Urban project from Mumbai, which works in similar projects like we did. So they organize MUNs, other fundraisers. They came to us with an idea to raise funds for this NGO called Habitat for Humanity, and they work with organizations all around India. But we wanted to give back to the Kodai community and have a little bit more control over how we use the funds. So that's when we came up with 4 to 5 ideas of how to give back and what projects we can make, we can implement with the funds we raise. So one of them was about offline education and just education in general. So that was where we got the idea. Yeah.
Okay. No, that was great. And obviously, so, you know, you really came through. And I know that you were on the call yesterday with the principals, but it was very difficult for all of us to interact. But you guys were there and you presented to the principals about this. And I have to tell you, yeah, so this was actually the meeting that happened yesterday. And you can see on the right side of your screen some of the materials that were, and and these students, I mean, it wasn't just a matter of fundraising or crowdfunding. It was actually researching the needs, talking to people in the community, talking to some of our staff, really trying to understand exactly what the needs were at different age levels, in different communities in Kodai. There's tribal communities, there's scheduled castes, there's government schools, there's aided schools, there's private schools. And I just hats off to you guys for researching this, understanding the need and responding to it. I have to tell you, I mean, afterwards we talked with a lot of the principals and really learned a lot from them about kind of how they see education, how they see recovering from the pandemic in terms of educating their children. And they were immensely grateful to KIS students for really coming through. But I have a question for you guys. So say you come back to Kodai, right? In January, let's say, optimistically, you come back to school in January, you visit these schools, or you're able to kind of interact with some of the students that you've raised these, you've raised these funds, and you've given them materials. So how are you going to measure success? So how are you going to know that you've been successful?
I think I can answer that. So right now, from what we kind of understood through interacting with like our co-resource, which is Dr. Rajamankam, who's been helping us throughout the whole thing, he's kind of helped us understand that a lot of these students are so poor that when we supply them with material to use for school, they won't actually use it. They'll tend to like save it up so that they could use it in the future, so that they won't have to buy it again. But then I think one way that that we kind of thought of to ensure that they're using these materials and it's actually benefiting them in some way is that if they can show their principal or their teachers how they've used their materials, like for example, if it's a notebook or a drawing book, if the drawing book is full and they need another one, they can show it to their principal, and their principal could send us like pictures, and we can arrange for them to have all their materials replaced, so that instead of them saving it up, they're free to use it the way they want and not be scared of like having not being able to have these materials later on.
Right. What a great idea that you could actually just say, listen, don't worry about, it's not a matter of scarcity in this. We will replace the materials if you use them. And there's a question I saw come up in the chat. So this was you mentioned, Aryan mentioned the Alpha Urbane project, which is a nonprofit in Mumbai that first did this. And I'll just go back a little bit. And as Aryan said, they approached us and they approached a lot of schools across India to raise funds for Habitat for Humanity, a wonderful organization. We said, sure, but we also said, wait a minute, there's so many needs in Kodai. Kodai's a tourist town, so very hard hit by COVID. Through some kind of remarkable and creative thinking from our social and environmental experience department, from our Center for Environment and Humanity, from our students, we decided to raise funds or ask if we could raise funds for Kodai. So we really, I think that's an example of kind of thinking on the spot and changing the circumstances the right way. And then you guys did a little training, right? You trained with Alpha Urbane, a crowdfunding campaign, and then you had met in these groups. But the question I saw come across from Mr. Joe Rittman is, so where are the funds, where did the funds come from primarily? Like, who are the people who donated?
So we had a core member of five members, and all of us had different volunteers under us, so we managed them. So like our offline education group, we had around 30 members. So everyone, we messaged our contacts, our family members, our relatives, our friends, posted on our social media to ask people to donate for the cause. And we used Keto as a platform to generate money, so crowdfund. That's how we gained around 17 lakhs within 2 to 3 months period.
Okay, so yeah, it was crowdfunding campaign. So their contacts, their family members, their friends Yeah, it was truly a remarkable effort. And now I want to bring Niharika into the conversation. So Niharika, and we brought you on, like, Niharika, for like 5 different reasons tonight I can think of talking to you. So, but Niharika, you had another idea as well for education in Cody.
Right.
And you called it the Calvi Project. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I think our idea was based on the fact that I think right now with COVID-19, a lot of children from the underprovided community were missing out on a much needed education, because there is a huge correlation between an education and sort of coming out of the vicious cycle of poverty, because I think the socio-economic status of a family constantly coerces them into the same cycle again and again. And getting this education could make such a difference. But I feel like during COVID-19, this really, I mean, halted for like the longest time. And for us, we were thinking of a way where we could immediately get these educational modules out to children who can access it through their phones, through their parents' phones during the pandemic. I think the whole idea was just to make an immediate impact. And we thought of, I think one of the most important things that we must understand about the underprovided community is that the thing with underprovided children is that for them, their food, the most basic necessities become their larger priorities, such as food, water, and I mean, helping their parents out. I mean, just to make whatever they can. And for them, this education becomes indifferent, especially government schools aren't always able to deliver the education that they require to come out of poverty. And so we were thinking of a way to catalyze this education for them so that they're still able to meet other basic needs. And so a team of 9 of us, and 9 of my classmates and I sort of started Project Kalbi. And we have subjects such as spoken English that I'm in charge of. And then we have personal financing. We have, there's one of our friends is also making modules where he's using art and music and combining the two and sort of creating this interdisciplinary thing, and subjects like as such that will help them. And for me, honestly, I think spoken English is most important, because there is a huge correlation between students in India knowing how to speak English and getting jobs. And so that is sort of, and we also teamed up with the offline education team to raise funds, because we're also constantly thinking of these schools and how they're going to transition, even because now that the Tamil Nadu government has sort of issued this announcement that, you know, you can sort of begin reopening schools, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Corey. I do not want to be
You're wrong, Niharika. Yeah. But continue. No, go on. We'll talk about that later.
For us, it's just that whenever they decide to like let schools open, we're thinking of how they're going to make this transition, and to make sure that, you know, they're aware of the resources that are available. And so that's kind of our idea. Yeah.
So it's amazing to be talking to you four guys, because in the talks with the principals we had yesterday, Niharika, this is exactly, we asked them, what do you need? What do you think your students need right now? And what do you need as schools? So, and exactly. So number one, they said they need kind of computers. They need infrastructure for technology. And we had a long conversation about what that actually means. Are those computers sitting in schools? Are those devices for each student? How do we provide internet? But that was one thing. English, they said English courses, spoken English courses, precisely for what you said, for jobs. And then they also, very interestingly, said that what they would really like to see for their students is opportunities for sports, opportunities for music, opportunities for interaction. And so I just want to, you know, with these two groups here, right? The offline education project and the Calvi project, you know, we've been doing a lot of thinking. We've talked to you guys a little bit as well. Remember, we had that conference call about a month or so ago. And I guess the best way to say that is we're inspired by your thinking and by your efforts. And so this is something we want to take a lot further. Partly because of the way that the school was able to respond, because of alumni support, we were able to respond and provide food for the community and really sustain people very hard hit. But we did this through the schools, precisely because kind of what you had said, Niharika, that the danger is that you have these kind of young people who, their parents are just going to take them back and kind of say, you know what, it just doesn't make economic sense to send you to school. I mean, that's going to be their thinking. And so, we saw this as a huge need. We see this as an ongoing need. We see this as really a priority in terms of recovering from the pandemic, responding right now to it and recovering. So when you guys get back here next semester, we have a lot of plans to share with you in terms of kind of, if you had the offline education project and Project Calvi, we're going to join those together into a Kodai education project. But we've built so much trust with schools, and we really want to make a difference. And the other thing we want to do, I see Clarence here, so I know I have to mention this. Clarence is, we also see this as an opportunity to, really educate children across Kodai on the environment, on the Kodai environment, right? On the context of where they live, kind of a sense of place education. And as Clarence and Rajamanikam and Lakshmi, our staff, say, this could actually build a generation of young people in Kodai who are environmentalists and aware of the beauty of their surroundings. So that's another project that we will be doing in schools. And we'll be sharing a lot more with alumni as kind of part of a fundraising campaign, but it's inspired by our students. So thanks a lot, you guys.
Into Q&A. I have some questions.
Sure.
This is to any of the students who want to take, and that is, it's come through. How did you guys manage communication during this time? Some of you are in Mumbai. Niharika, you're in Doha. Where are you? Yeah. So how are you managing to work with people on the ground? That is Dr. Rajamanikim, who's our staff, but most people here don't know who that is. So just explain to us. And you said you have a team of 9 more, and we'll start with you, Niharika, if you want to just say how you're managing communication, how you're managing teamwork.
I think it's easier now because I mean, it's definitely much easier because you're able to get everyone from different parts of India outside on Google Meet or Zoom, and it's extremely convenient. I think that's one of the most useful online tools that we've been using. And I think, and as a team of 9 people, we're always constantly communicating, well, thanks to technology. And I think it's much easier to meet now and sort of schedule these meetings. So I'm definitely like, yeah.
Do you feel corporatized by doing this? Do you feel you're ready for a corporate environment already? What do you say, Aryan? You're laughing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think like attending meeting, dressing up, preparing for them. I haven't done that much before online learning. I've started to do that more now. So I definitely has prepared me. And I also like to say thanks to all the people back in Kodai, Mr. Rajamanikam. He calls me whenever he has something. We can call him. He's always available. Even Mr. Corey, he's always replying to mails. So I think the staff at Kodai has been really helpful throughout all our projects.
I just want to add to this because it's so funny. So Aryan, Nina writes to me on WhatsApp today and says, I love this. She's like, and Nina is another KIS student who was the head of the campaign for the medical facilities in Kodai. So I get a WhatsApp message from her today, and she said, the government hospital needs an EKG right away. Please get it there. So they're on top of what's happening. The Nina is talking to Dr. Ganapati at the government hospital and Dr. Senthil at Van Allen. So they've directly, I mean, these guys have directly through obviously through people at school, but also directly with people in town. So I just loved getting that what's up, because it's just like just on top of it, on top of the needs. So it's fantastic.
I'll direct this next question to either Ihan or Senner, who wants to take it up. Are you guys missing dorm life?
A lot. Like every night after dorm snack, we also hang out in the common room and play video games or like just talk. Especially, I think I miss the dorm dance practice the most because that's when most of us bonded during like bonded to our seniors. And dorm dance, the whole event is like a really fun event where like all of us just go crazy. That dorm life is really like the main highlight of senior year, and that's what we're missing out on.
Are you in touch with your dorm parents? So I know that some of the dorm parents are doing regular calls with you guys. How's that going? Uh, are you part of any other clubs?
We, our dorm parents have been trying to get us together every once in a while. I actually had a dorm meeting online. Um, Normally, a dorm meeting would be held in our social rooms in dorm, so we could talk about what's going well in our lives. But then we can't be in our social room, so we had it on Google Meet, and we're just kind of talking about how our quarantining process would be once we're coming back. And it was very nostalgic, but also it was really nice to be able to see everyone in one place at like, because the classrooms and our dorms are kind of the same people sometimes, but very different dynamics, and it was just really nice to relive that dynamic online.
Okay, we'll take rounds around. If everything is lifted and there is no social distancing required, no mask, no isolation, what is the one thing that you're going to do as soon as you reach campus?
I think I'm just gonna go to Flag Green and take a nap there. I like just kiss the ground, hug it, something like that. And then I'll go to the lake. I'll go to the lake
Without your dorm parents' knowledge, of course.
without my dorm parents' knowledge. And I'll eat some snacks. I'll eat the shawarmas. I'll go boating.
Vihan,
I would go and first hug all of my friends that I'm missing them a lot. And I would I would want to go to the senior lounge because this is the only ever where we allowed to go, and now we cannot right now. So like yeah,
You've been waiting for years to go to the senior lounge, and then
yeah.
you can come to campus. That's great.
Niharika.
I think for me, it's the canteens and the quad shots. They're so much fun, and well, yeah, I can't wait to see my friends and just it's been so long. It's gonna be almost a year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, not really campus, but then I would go out with a few friends to a nearby restaurant, either Munchies or like Klaus Street, anything. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from the Q&A, and this, Corey, goes back to what you were talking. It was, how does dress affect bias? And how was the issue addressed at the recent KIS meeting?
Thank you. Thanks. Great question. Naharika, you want to help me with this? So I'll start, and then Naharika, if you have a thought about this. It was kind of an open-ended, very hard to sum up the entirety of that conversation. And it is, we call it a conversation. It's not like we come to, we all have to agree or reach a consensus when we talk. But it came up in terms of, and one of many, many subjects, right? But it came up in terms of that students were telling me, the principal, that the dress code at times, there's bias implicit in the dress code. Sometimes it's sexist, where they felt that there was more of a dress code for females than males. that males were asked, females were asked to cover their arms and not males. They talked about it in terms of, if someone is, like ogling us, is that their problem or our problem? They talked about how they felt at times that the dress code would be more in terms of that, people of different sizes were picked on. They felt at times, maybe very unconsciously, but that the people of varying sizes were picked on rather than people of other sizes. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Now, Harika, were you there for that conversation?
Yes, I was. And I think one thing that you said that really stuck with me was that there is no correlation between how you dress and how you study. And sometimes that
Well,
makes.
yeah, I think what I said was very. I think I said that in my experience, there's no correlation between how you dress and the quality of your brain, the quality of your thinking. But it is an ongoing debate. I remember Miss Block debated who was it? The O'Shea, right? A couple years ago in the quad, they had this debate about the dress code after school one day. And there are good reasons culturally that to be very sensitive about dress. So it is but it what we did, one of the things that came out of that discussion was that the dress code at Cody alone touches on so many different things. It touches on culture and race, and it touches on so gender, race. It touches on different types of bias, authoritarian bias, things like that. So it was a very, very interesting discussion.
Sorry, we have another one. This is from Supply. There was
I saw.
there was a case in the U.S. lately that dealt with caste bias in corporate America. The Equal Opportunity Act protects people from being discriminated against based on sex, religion, and race. The plaintiff wanted to include caste because there was a lot going on in tech companies, particularly due to a large representation of Indians. How is Cody dealing with this issue?
Yeah, I know that caste has come up in our conversation for sure, and I believe Manjusha, we have one of my classmates, Ajanta Subramaniam, who is the head of the anthropology department at Harvard, is coming on to talk about casteism.
Actually, that will be another one of our quad shots,
Yeah.
which will be talking about the politics of meritocracy, headed by Professor Ajanta Subramaniam, Professor of Anthropology, Harvard University, and she'll be interviewed by Dwight Payansen, class of 2000, who's also a professor of history at Flame University. So that's a very interesting conversation to be tuning into. But yeah, you could talk about how we address this in school.
So in terms of addressing this at school, I think like what I've found in this conversation we've had over this last semester with our students is how absolutely aware they are and how willing they are to talk about it. So I guess that's how we respond to that. We talk about it. I think that's the number one thing, right? If you're able to kind of talk about something, we ended, I don't know, one of the students at our very last meeting when we talked about, we were kind of recapping what we accomplished and then what we plan to do in the future. But, one of the students was like, wait a minute, we are, our own society has its own issues with race or with bias. And we, talked about caste. And the student says, you know what, we all have our own biases and we have to be super aware of that. And we have to realize that that's just this part of the makeup that we've inherited in terms of culturally, in terms of that caste exists in our society. And I just think they're super, super aware of it. You know, and they're, you know, some of the students, Niharika was one of them, who was on a panel. We got a speaker from London, Shmita Tharoor, on bias, and she talked about it. So I just think, as an educational institution, what do we do about it? Well, we talk about it, and we educate ourselves about what it is. So
Recently, the Youth Rise have also conducted. Vihan, you're the vice president of Youth Rise. Would you like to talk about the colorism in media conversation you had?
Yeah, sure. So, we partnered up with an organization called Women of Worth. So they take up such issues. So for this webinar we hosted was open for everyone in India, all high schoolers in India. So in this webinar we discussed what is the impact of colorism on media and how media promotes colorism. So we invited an activist and model, Seema Hari from LA. She was bullied in her high school due to her color, but now she's like a well-renowned model and she promotes uh, media sharing certain color types that so we wanted to do like currently in 2020 like, a lot of instances have come up related to colorism, like the death of George Floyd. So like we wanted to take up that issue. So that's what we did.
Thank you. Corey, another question up here is it's about communication and how you as principal have sort of learned to up your act on communicating and how you've done it, how you've dealt with it, with the pandemic. Um,
my act was bad. I
No.
had to up it. I'm just kidding. You know what's really cool? On Tuesday, so in 3 days, we've actually been asked by a company in India. I think it's called Social Beats. But they've asked to interview us or have us do a webinar, the dean and myself, as an institution that has, I don't remember how they worded it, but has responded admirably to the pandemic. And so we had a call with them yesterday to kind of pre-talk the webinar. And, you know, I think, you know, the communication, obviously in a situation like this, it has to be, you really do have to communicate. You know, you have to say, and when there's so much uncertainty, I think you have to say, you know, we're uncertain, we don't know, but we're willing to talk to you. So what is your, you know, one of the best things we did is we did a lot of surveys, our parents and our students and our staff. How is it going? What's going on with online learning? How is it, you know, what's going well, what's not going well for parents and for students? I think our best tool in communicating has been listening, and really deep listening. I know Aryan is probably our student council president is laughing a bit because he knows, but you know, it's easy with these guys because they're actually really smart. And they're like, and their ideas actually make a lot of sense. So we listen to that. Another thing we did right away, and this is credit to our Chief Marketing Officer, Stephanie Covey, and to her team, Anjusha, and others, is that we held a lot of webinars. We held constant, like it was like we held a, not a webinar, whatever it's called, like a conversation. We held weekly conversations with our new parents. I think for like 4 straight weeks at the beginning of the semester. So it was just, I think it was just being willing to spend the time to do that, to answer their questions and, you know, just make sure we understood their needs, their perceptions.
You even used different kinds of software, didn't you? Like TikTok and when it was legal.
Yeah, we created a TikTok video of the principal missing his students. I hope that's long forgotten and there no copies exist of that. But yeah, no, that was great. I mean, I think it got a certain number of viewers. So we just found different ways to reach out. We started a daily assembly, and we say, every morning. It's called Vanikam, is the name of our daily assembly, and different staff members will come on, students will come on. And talk, and basically we talk about the weather in Cody, and it's a beautiful morning, or it's a stormy beautiful morning or whatever. And the most popular Vanakams are clearly when students are talking, not the principal. But we end every Vanakam, with we say, remember to stay engaged, stay positive, and reach out if you need assistance. So we've done a lot of little things. We've done a lot of consistent things. It's been difficult at times, but yeah, I mean, it's just what you have to do. And I don't think there's necessarily anything special about what KIS has done. I'm sure all schools and institutions have found that the importance of this.
All right. Thank you, Corey. We've almost reached the end of our time. Any last questions? I can wait. If not, we'd love to hear your feedback. So please email me at alumni@kis.in. And we'd love to see you back on all of our quad shots. There will be much more coming up, book talks, and like I said, an interesting conversation on democracy with Joe Rittman, who's tuned in today, and Marion Green, who's the Minnesota State County Commissioner. And there's also a talk on meritocracy by Ajanta Subramaniam, class of 86. So we look forward to reconnecting with all of you, re-engaging with all of you. And thank you very much for attending tonight. Good night, or have a great day.